ever been disappointed in a product, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Guys, like and comment. The comment section is very unique. I would highly recommend getting down there and understanding why people don't even watch my videos and they just come here for the comment section, which is unruly. If you are looking to support the channel, there are multiple venues. You have Gun Mag Warehouse. They support the channel monetarily, buy magazines from them, that's all they ask. If you're looking for ammunition, LAX ammunition, discount code Grantham, or for plaid and outer layers and gun bags, all that kind of stuff, Vertex, they make some great stuff. 25% off the Grantham. Okay, gentlemen, and whoever else is watching. Today we're going to be talking about the Surefire Masterfire holster. So, as far as my relationship with Surefire, I've done some work with them on muzzle devices and other things like suppressors and lights, and they do very good at that. Now, this particular holster was purchased by me along with the Light, which is the XH35. The XH35, which is required to work with the Surefire Masterfire, is around 269, 280 or so, probably less by the time you watch this. And the holster is around 120, 130-ish, depending. So if you're not familiar with Surefire, Surefire is one of the larger companies in the tactical weapon light world, in the suppressor world, and in the muzzle device world. Their muzzle devices and their lights and their suppressors are widely used in the military. And they do a really good job. So when I heard about the Surefire Masterfire holster, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, some great guys, I'm ready for them to come in with their knowledge and just all over, just do a great job. But they didn't do a good job at all. And I keep seeing videos of people who review this, or they do a video on it and they're like, yeah, this is great, it's a really smooth draw. I'm like, the hell are you talking about? That is not a smooth draw. You damn psychopaths. And I saw guys talking about how they use this in duty, and that can't stand, and so we're gonna make a video on this, and I'm gonna explain why not to use this particular holster. So before we do that, let's talk about why, let's talk about some good things about this. First off, overview. Polymer. It's a good one right there. Actually, the belt mount is a really good idea. So they have this really cool system where you can adjust the height of these keepers right there, so the height of your belt, and you can kind of custom fit it. So, a lot of these paddles right here are usually a little bit too big for the belt, especially military type belts that are around like 175 or so. So you can get this cinched right down, that way it doesn't move around so much. And I thought that was a really good idea. So Surefire, good job on that. Okay, so good on them on that. Now, everything else is going to kind of come into play with the weapon light. So the weapon light is the XH35. Now, I'm not doing a review on the weapon light, but I feel compelled to talk about it when we're talking about this holster because they go together. And this weapon light, okay, good things. Kind of cool. It has a high or a low output. So low output puts out 300 lumens. On high, 1,000 lumens. Now, there's more to weapon lights than just lumens, but it does an okay job. On low, it lasts, close to 2.5 hours. On high, it's around an hour, maybe a little bit more. The problem with the XH35 is the throw. The throw is very wide, so that's cool, you think, but then it doesn't get reach far as like the X300U, like you are, like and love. So that was kind of unfortunate for me. Besides that, it has a strobe feature. If you don't know, strobes are for raves, not for tactical weapon lights, so no, don't touch it. Keep it on off. Besides that, it has little recesses right here that allow it to lock on to the front of the holster right there. So you need this weapon light or any other model they make that later will interface with the Surefire Masterfire to use this. You can't just take a Surefire X300U and pop this bad boy in. Let's talk about a couple of the features on the Surefire Masterfire. So first off, an off-on, what is that about? Well, it's about the weapon light. If you have it to on, when you draw your weapon, it will automatically turn your weapon light on. If you noticed, my weapon light did not turn on, not because it didn't work, which it doesn't always work, but rather because this, out of all my Surefires I've ever had, has died. I don't know how. The XH35 is dead. No matter what batteries I put into it, it has just died. So a interesting beginning to the review. But it has a little nub there that actuates the lever on the back and puts it into the on position. And then when it's on and then you go to holster it, it will automatically turn that off. That actually is a very cool feature. Now the problem is that it's not consistent, and that's going to be a theme with the Surefire Masterfire, is that it does not always turn it on. I don't know how it works specifically. Maybe it doesn't engage it enough, and then the lever pops back into place. But I've seen it a couple times, well, more than a couple times with mine, and I've seen other people mention it as well. So I know it's not just, my problem, but kind of a weird little thing. So anyhow, when it works, a very cool feature. The problem is, of course, if you're an officer and you train for it and then it doesn't turn on one time, that's just another thing to think about. But I like that it might possibly work at some point in the future. Now, besides that, this is a level 3 retention holster. So, much like a Surefire Light with a hood and the ALS system and everything, except that this one, the third retention system, is this little nub right here that you rotate and it locks the gun in place. So with the gun locked, you can actually pull the gun out. So you have to disengage it. The problem is that with the Safari Land, it's easy to disengage the 3 levels, the level 3 retention holsters. With this, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to reach down with your finger, then unlock it, then unlock it. So I, for the most part, just leave this unlocked. Also, it tends to get a little bit bound up in cold weather, which has happened to me a couple times. So I just leave that unlocked and I just worry about the main retention device right here. Now, on this particular holster, you'll notice that it's canted kind of an odd angle. And that actually helps with the way that you're supposed to draw it. Also, it has this little lever right here. Now, when I first saw this, I was really kind of pumped because I thought, an ALS-like system. That way it can just pop it down and then it will just release my gun and I can get it out. Not quite. Now, before we get there, let's talk about what's good. This weapon light can mount to pretty much any pistol, and then any pistol is going to fit right in. Life's good. I can use any pistol, and also look, it's open at the front. I can actually run a suppressor on this bad boy unless you have some weird Osprey or something like that. You can also run a comp to make your gun unreliable, so that's pretty cool. And you can run red dots because there's nothing encompassing the front. That way they can get a bunch of mud in them because there's nothing protecting them. So that's pretty cool. I was really impressed with that feature. No, it is cool that you can mount anything. So if you have like the limited application that you have to have a retention holster for a suppressor mounted to a pistol, which I don't know who among you could possibly have that. I'm sure there's somebody who's going to chime in. Then cool. But otherwise, a little bit kind of nuanced in its applicability. But anyhow, when you go to draw it, you reach down, your thumb hits the unlock right there, and it unlocks it. You then rotate the gun forward, and then can release it out. So what's cool about this is I don't have to draw the gun straight up like I do with a traditional holster. Because of that, I have less travel time from my draw to being able to get the gun up compared to something like the Safari Land. This is a ALS type system. When I go to draw it, I have to clear the entire gun of the holster before I can get that gun up. So as you can see, I just have a lot more space to draw. And that could be a problem with cops, law enforcement, LARPers, whatever. When you're trying to draw and you got a bunch of kit on, all that kit's going to kind of get in the way as you're trying to draw that up, as compared to the Surefire Masterfire, where I simply rotate up and I'm up into the fight. So that's kind of cool. I actually was a fan of that. And this concept isn't new. It was executed much differently with competition holsters, but the open kind of holster design is not a new concept. So just realize that they're not the first to do it, but they are the first to try to adapt it to a tactical type situation or a duty type holster. So anyhow, you press down, rotate forward, up. Here comes the problem. When you drive into the gun, you need to pull back on it. If you put any pressure forward onto this, so if there's pressure pushing the gun forward like that, and I try to draw it, it binds up super hard. There we go. So you have to release that pressure. Now you say to yourself, why is that a problem? Well, for one, when I drive my hand down into the gun, I typically put pressure into the gun. When I put pressure into the gun, I'm typically pressing a little bit forward into it. And so because of that, it typically locks up and it impedes my draw. So what you need to do is when you grab it, you're supposed to pull back a little bit and then rotate it forward. So it's a little bit trickier of a draw compared to something like the ALS. But that being said, it's still very fast. If you get really good at this, you can be much faster than the ALS system when it works. Because here's another problem. When there's any pressure forward on the gun, you can't pull it out. So let's say I'm laying on the ground, like I demonstrated right here in this video.
So we're going to put pressure on one side.
As you can see, I couldn't draw the weapon when my hip was into the ground. And I even had the holster mounted pretty far forward, as I typically do, around the 2 o'clock location on my hip. If you have this mounted 3 o'clock, like a lot of guys do, that gun's gonna be pressing even harder to the ground. So I had to rotate my hip up before I could draw it and get it back down. Here's the problem. What if you're in a position where you can't rotate your hip up? What if there's somebody on top of you and they're trying to beat your face in and kill you or something like that, and you're not able to rotate your hip up, then you can't get to your gun. Another problem, let's say law enforcement or military, somebody gets the better hand, pushes you up against a car, and that pushes the gun up against the car, as you can see in this video.
Let's see if that becomes a problem. So if I'm pressed up and my gun's pressed up against something and I go to draw it, takes a lot of force. You can do it, but it's definitely going to make life a little bit more difficult.
Then it's going to be very difficult to draw that gun as well. So that's my problem. One of my big problems with the Surefire Masterfire is that if you don't get the right pressure on this gun, it's going to bind up in the holster. And for me, that is a total no-go. Compare that to something like the Surefire ALS in these videos.
See if this causes any trouble. So you can press really hard. Weapon still draws easily.
As you can see, same situation, but I could draw from the Surefire just no problem, because it doesn't rely, it's not putting any pressure on the mechanism to release it, and you can just pull out easy. So that is my biggest problem with the Surefire Masterfire. It could possibly bind up at a time that is very non-advantageous to you. I have no doubt that this holster is fast, that allows you to mount all these types of Gucci accessories, and it works with a variety of handguns, a huge variety. Not every handgun, but most. But it's the consistency that is a problem for me. And it's for that reason that I in no way can suggest this for duty use, because it could possibly be a huge liability to you at a time when you need it most. If you're looking for a holster, highly recommend that you use the Surefire ALS with the ALS system. It locks into place when you holster it. When you press on that nub, it allows you to draw it. I am using the nub mod from Oregon Trail Defense. I highly recommend it as well for ALS type holsters. So again, press the nub mod, it can draw, reholster, it then locks back into place, and I can't draw the weapon. A much better design.
104. 105. 104.
Now I will say one other thing about the Surefire Masterfire holster that is good, and that is that reholstering your weapon is incredibly easy, because all you have to do is get that light into the cowl right there, and it just locks right into place. So that is very easy. Again, fast when it works, when it works. So gentlemen, is the Surefire Masterfire for you? No. But if you have to carry a retention holster with a suppressor on it, maybe, just maybe, this is your holster. Congratulations, Surefire. Besides that, stay away from it, guys. Stick to holsters that are proven and work like the Surefire. I really hope that Surefire gives this another go and makes a slightly better system. And once they do that, I'll be happy to review it. Until then, stick to Surefire and get training, guys. That's all that matters. Cogworks, Bear Solutions, Haley Strategic, my dad's company, Esoteric, Darcy, all those guys. There's some individual instructors like Tony Cowden and great IPSC guys and great USPSA guys. Get out there and find them and learn from them. They have so much to teach you. Because as we know, shooting is cool, but if you know what you're doing when you're shooting, you look even cooler, and that's all that matters. Guys, thank you for watching. Take care. I've got nothing else for you. Last thing I have for you, make sure that you make your money work for you. Look into investment and retirement funds, highly recommended. Lots of great tax write-offs with them, and also you're setting yourself up for the future. Don't always live in the present. You have to make sure you're taking care of future you when you're decrepit and old, which will eventually happen, hopefully. Living to old age is a blessing, so make sure you prepare for it and keep yourself financially secure. And if you've gotten this far, gentlemen, last thing to talk about is going to be Big Daddy Unlimited. It's like Costco, but for guns with a much worse name. So go and find out if it's for you. It's a subscription service. It costs money, but it might save you some money in the long term if you're buying a lot of products. Well, a couple products a year or something like that. Guys, check them out. And finally, I want you guys to comment with your favorite, ooh, this is gonna be a good one. Let's do favorite horror film. Favorite horror film. Yeah, let's go ahead and run with that. I'd love to hear them because I'm looking for some horror films to scare chicks with. So let me know.